Now Darwin made a point of using parasites to explain his theory. So let's have a look at parasites. What are parasites? Parasites are creatures that feed and live off other creatures while hijacking, as it were, their metabolic machinery, mostly not killing them, but sapping them of their strength. And if we look at the parasites, like the roundworms and the tapeworms that we have over here, these are creatures that are highly regressed in their structure. A tapeworm doesn't have eyes, doesn't need eyes, you can't see anything in the alimentary canal of another creature. It doesn't have a digestive system. Why should it have one? It's living in your digestive system, so it hijacks your digestive system. So the eyes are not there, the digestive structures are not there, and so parasites are reduced organisms. Is that evolution? Or is that the deactivation of the loss of genetic material? Now, here is a barnacle. A barnacle is really a crab-like little creature that has a little shell around it, but not all the barnacles are sessile, sitting on rocks. Some of them are actually free-swimming little organisms that are parasites on crabs. Now, when such a parasite becomes involved in a crab structure, it develops within the crab, and it's called an interna inside, and it is like a tumor growing in the organism. Eventually, this is what happens. This is the female cyprid. It invades crabs, and that develops into a parasite with internal root system, which is internal. And once the interna matures, it will develop a reproductive body outside of the crab. So this is not the crab's reproductive body, this is a parasite. Fascinating. And inside, there are just these strands which have grown into the crab and sap the crab of its energy and nutrients, and the parasite uses it just to create these reproductive structures. And then the little males come and they fertilize these eggs on the outside, and then when the eggs develop, they become part of the plankton system, and the whole system starts all over again. So this is a disgusting looking parasite consisting of nothing else but strands throughout this living crab, and then the reproductive system. But the interesting thing is, it has a free living form, which is part of the plankton system, where it feeds like any other creature. And it has all the structures that it needs to live. It has eyes, it has a mouth, it has movement capabilities, it has digestive systems. It's a complete creature. So here's my question. In this disgusting looking parasite that consists of strands and a reproductive system, are the genes for eyes and mouths and reproductive systems and locomotory organs, are they all there? Yes or no? Sure, they must be there, because the larva has them. And then when the larva invades a crab, they all disappear. How did that happen? Is that evolution? Darwin, is that millions of years of evolution? Or the fact that it is now in the crab gives the environmental signals to the genetic systems, marks them, and deactivates the genes by wrapping them around the histone proteins, deactivating, and all the structures that normally constitute a living organism disappear, and what remains is the strandy organism and a reproductive system. That's all it needs. That's all it needs. So is this evolution? No. This is deactivation of gene patterns. And why should it be necessary? Well, if you have a world that has become what it is today, changed from what it was in its time of perfection to imperfection, food sources disappear, well, then animals have two choices. If their food source disappears, they either go extinct or they change their food source. And so parasitism is just one of the avenues, but it doesn't mean when it was good, when it was very good, that these creatures were designed to be parasites. They're just a reminder of what has become of the world owing to the situation described in the book of Genesis. So let's look at some other creatures which are parasites. The mosquito. The mosquito is a bloodsucker, and it can draw with the apparatus that it has, which is like a mini drill, this proboscis. It can drill holes into your skin and suck the blood. But then fortuitously, it has enzymes which prevent the coagulation of the blood. Obviously, if you were to have the blood coagulate in that little straw, that would become a very complicated sucking experience. You'd have a clogged apparatus. So these chemicals prevent the clotting of blood. Now, this must have taken millions of years to develop, right? Well, the interesting thing is, it's only the female that sucks blood and not the male. And he has the same structure and he has the same chemical composition in his structure, but what does he use it for? Well, he uses it to suck plant juices. Now, obviously, this is enough to satisfy his needs, so he does not need to suck blood. But if the plant juice does not provide for him or to the female everything that is necessary to produce the eggs and all the energy that goes into that, augmentation of the diet with another fluid rich in nutrients would be very advantageous. So they switched. But if the food supply had still been what it was originally, then there would have been no need to switch, and there wouldn't have been a parasite, and the animal wouldn't have been a pest, and it wouldn't have transmitted diseases. So it could have been very good, but what we have now is a changed paradigm. This is the New Zealand key parrot. It's a little parrot, and it has a sharp little beak, and it has claws like any other bird, and its diet is the root of a particular tree. Except when, through urbanization, they removed the trees from the areas, and suddenly this little bird became a killing machine. And it was fascinating what it ate. It went and sat on the back of sheep, attached itself to the wall, and then with this sharp little beak dug its way through the back until it got to the fat around the kidney, and it ate the fat around the kidney, and the sheep died. And of course, that created great consternation. Now, imagine that some virus or disease had destroyed the original food source of this creature. Then it would have been a killer. And if Darwin had come to Australia and New Zealand, and he had found these creatures and seen their carnivorous habits, he would have said, well, with a sharp beak like that, it's obviously through evolution that it was transformed into a creature that had become a killing machine. But when they replanted the trees, what happened? Went back to its original diet. So original and current do not necessarily tell the same story. So if the earth was cursed and much of the plant material disappeared, then creatures would have to eat something else. That's pretty logical. Now, if you look at the paleontological record, you will find that in the paleontology there are vastly more varieties of plants than we have today. So there must have been food sources which are no longer available, which means that the animals that used to eat them either changed their diet or disappeared. If you look at chipmunks, we all know what their diet is. It consists of seeds. But today, if the forest is depleted of food sources, they will be found eating roadkill, for example. Now, surely that is not their original diet. This is a new development owing to environmental changes which have taken place.